Have you ever felt like you couldn't breathe without someone's presence, as if their absence would collapse the very ground beneath you? You call it love. Jung called it possession. You know the feeling, the racing heart when they don't text back, the hollow ache when they turn cold, the voice in your head whispering that without them, you are nothing. You tell yourself it's devotion, that this is what depth looks like. But somewhere beneath the surface, you know this isn't connection. It's a chain you cannot see. Carl Jung spent a lifetime studying the hidden architecture of the human soul, and he discovered something most of us never name. The person we believe completes us is often the one carrying what we've abandoned in ourselves. The qualities we think they give us, strength, safety, worth, are not theirs to give. They are ours to reclaim. Today, we will walk through the psychology of need. Not the need for food or shelter, but the kind that makes you betray yourself for someone else's approval. The kind that feels like fate, but is actually a wound dressed in longing. Stay with me, because by the end, you will see clearly the one you thought you needed. Not as savior, not as villain, but as mirror. And mirrors, when finally understood, set you free. Need feels like connection, but it is attachment to a projection. Jung taught that what we desperately seek in another is what we have disowned in ourselves, the strength we crave, the warmth we lack, the confidence we've buried beneath years of doubt. We do not fall in love with people in the way we think we do. We fall in love with the qualities they carry that we have forgotten we possess. Jung called this the anima and animus, the inner feminine in men, the inner masculine in women. These are not gender roles or social scripts. They are psychological energies that live in every soul. Assertiveness and receptivity, protection and nurturing, logic and intuition. When we deny these energies in ourselves, when we decide they are not ours to hold, we project them outward. We hunt for them in others, and when we find someone who seems to embody what we lack, we do not just admire them, we cling to them as if our survival depends on it. Think of the woman who cannot stand alone, who feels small in her own presence. She finds a man who is decisive, grounded, unshakable in his opinions. She calls it love, calls it chemistry. But what she really loves is not him. It is the part of herself she has not yet claimed, her own courage, her own spine. The capacity to say no without crumbling, to stand firm without needing permission. Or think of the man who has spent his life in the realm of logic and control, who prides himself on never being swept away by emotion. He meets a woman who is soft, intuitive, emotionally fluent in ways he has never allowed himself to be. He becomes obsessed, calls her his muse, his missing piece. But she is not completing him. She is reflecting back the tenderness he exiled from his own heart, the vulnerability he decided long ago was weakness. This is not intimacy, it is a transaction of the unconscious. Two people trading pieces of themselves they refuse to own, believing that together they will finally be whole. But wholeness does not come from another person. It comes from integration, from the slow and often painful work of reclaiming what you have cast into shadow. Jung understood that we are terrified of our own completeness. To be whole means to hold both strength and softness, both fire and stillness. It means we can no longer blame our emptiness on someone else's absence. And so we split ourselves in half, give one part away, and spend our lives searching for the person who will carry it for us. But here is the truth that changes everything. The moment you realize you are seeking yourself in another, the need begins to dissolve. Not because you stop caring, but because you stop mistaking dependency for devotion. Jung spoke of something called a complex, a cluster of emotion, memory, and belief that lives in the unconscious and hijacks your choices. When a complex is activated, it does not feel like a pattern. It feels like destiny. It feels like the universe conspiring to bring you together with this one person who understands you, who sees you, who makes you feel alive in ways no one else can. But what you are actually feeling is not connection. It is recognition. The complex in you is meeting the complex in them, and together they create a closed loop of need and fulfillment that masquerades as love. Possession by a complex means you are no longer choosing. The complex is choosing for you. It decides who you are drawn to, what you will tolerate, how much of yourself you will sacrifice to keep the bond intact. And the most dangerous part is that it feels right. It feels like home, even when home is a place where you are slowly disappearing. Consider the woman who keeps returning to emotionally unavailable men. She tells herself each time will be different, that this one will finally open up, that her love will be enough to heal him. But each time, the same pattern unfolds. He withdraws. She pursues. He offers just enough warmth to keep her hoping, then pulls away again. And she stays, not because she is weak, but because a complex has been activated. One rooted in childhood, in the feeling of never being enough to make a distant parent turn toward her with full presence. Jung would say she is not choosing these men, she is being chosen by the wound. The complex sees in them the familiar dance of longing and withholding, and it pulls her in because the unconscious believes that if she can just win this time, she will finally heal the original abandonment. But complexes do not heal through repetition. They only deepen. This is possession, not in the theatrical sense of demonic forces, but in the quiet, relentless way the unconscious takes the wheel and drives you toward the same cliff again and again. You think you are following your heart, but you are following an echo, an old voice that says you must earn love, that you are not whole on your own, that without this person, you will fall back into the emptiness you have spent your life running from. The mechanism is simple and devastating. Dependency activates the fear of abandonment. The fear of abandonment activates the need to control, to please, to contort yourself into whatever shape will keep them close. And in that contortion, you lose the very thing that makes love possible, your own presence. Jung once said that until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. The person you think you need is not your destiny. They are the messenger of your complex, the one who has arrived to show you what you have not yet faced in yourself. Relationships are mirrors, and the most unsettling truth Jung ever taught is this: the person who disturbs you most is showing you what you have not yet accepted in yourself. When someone controls you, belittles you, or makes you feel invisible, the instinct is to see them as the problem. And perhaps they are. But Jung would ask you to look deeper, not to excuse their behavior, but to understand why it has such power over you. What in you allows it? What in you believes it? What part of your soul has been waiting for this exact wound to appear so it can finally be seen? This is the mechanism of projection. The qualities we deny in ourselves, our aggression, our selfishness, our need for power, do not disappear. They move into the unconscious and reappear in the people we attract, the people we fear, the people we cannot leave. If you have disowned your own assertiveness, you will magnetize those who dominate. If you have buried your anger, you will find yourself surrounded by rage. The outer world becomes a stage for the inner drama you refuse to witness. Consider the woman who calls herself an empath, who prides herself on softness and understanding. She attracts men who are cold, demanding, who take without giving. She tells herself she's choosing wrong, that she needs better judgment. But Jung would say she is not choosing at all. She is projecting her disowned shadow, the part of her that is assertive, that sets boundaries, that says no without guilt, onto men who embody those qualities in distorted form. She does not need a stronger partner. She needs to reclaim her own strength, or think of the man who despises neediness in others, who withdraws the moment someone asks for reassurance. He sees dependency as weakness and surrounds himself with people who never ask for anything. But beneath that judgment is his own unmet need. the part of him that was never allowed to be vulnerable, that learned early to shut down longing because it was met with silence. The people he judges are mirrors of what he has exiled from his own heart. This is not blame. It is liberation, because once you see that every person who triggers you is holding a key to a room in your soul, you have kept locked. You stop asking why they are in your life and start asking what they have come to teach you. The controlling partner is showing you where you have abandoned your own authority. The dismissive friend is reflecting the part of you that has learned to dismiss your own needs. The person who makes you feel small is pointing to the place where you have already made yourself small. Jung believed that individuation, the process of becoming whole, requires us to retrieve these projections one by one, to see that what we hate or crave in others is actually ours to integrate. There comes a moment in every entangled bond when the illusion begins to crack, and you realize the person you cannot live without is not actually out there. They are inside you, speaking through the voice of your own longing. The dependency you feel is not about them. It is an inner conversation you have been having with yourself for years, perhaps decades. The need for their approval is the need for your own. The fear of losing them is the fear of losing the part of yourself you have placed in their hands for safekeeping. And the moment you see this, truly see it, the ground shifts beneath you. Jung once said that until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. The person you think you need is not your destiny. They are the messenger, the one who arrived to show you what you have been refusing to face. And once the message is received, once you understand that the bond is not between two people, but between you and your own disowned self, the compulsion begins to dissolve. This is the process Jung called individuation, the journey of becoming whole by reclaiming the qualities, the energies, the parts of yourself you have projected onto others. It is not about cutting people out of your life or hardening your heart. It is about retrieving yourself from the places where you have disappeared. It is about standing in your own presence without needing someone else to validate that you exist. Individuation does not happen all at once. It happens in small, quiet moments of reclamation. The moment you realize you are seeking their strength because you have forgotten your own. The moment you notice you're asking for their reassurance because you have stopped reassuring yourself. The moment you understand that the emptiness you feel in their absence is not because they took something from you, but because you never fully inhabited yourself to begin with. This is not easy work. The ego resists it because the ego loves the story of need. It loves the drama, the intensity, the feeling that someone else holds the key to your happiness. But the self, the deeper, truer center of your being, knows that no one can complete you because you were never incomplete. You were only fractured, scattered across the people and roles you used to avoid meeting yourself fully. So the turning point is not about ending the relationship, it is about ending the fantasy that the other person can save you from your own inner work. It is about seeing them clearly for the first time, not as the answer, but as the question, not as the solution, but as the mirror reflecting back what you have been too afraid to claim. Understanding the psychology of need is one thing, living free from it is another. And so we arrive at practice, the daily, unglamorous work of bringing the unconscious into light. The first practice is awareness in the moment of desperation when you feel the urgent need for their approval, for their presence, for their reassurance. Pause. Do not act. Do not text. Do not chase. Simply stop and whisper to yourself, what part of me is asking for this? Name the feeling beneath the need. Is it the fear of being alone? The belief that you are not enough without them? The wounded child who learned that love must be earned? When you can name it, you have separated yourself from it. You are no longer the need, you are the one witnessing the need. The second practice is deep reflection through writing. Sit with a journal and ask yourself 3 questions. First, what do I think this person gives me that I lack? Write it down without censoring. Strength, safety, worth, value. Then ask, when did I first feel this way? What memory rises when you sit with that question? Often the need we feel now is an echo of a need that went unmet long ago. And finally, how can I embody that quality myself today? If you crave their strength, where can you be strong for yourself? If you seek their warmth, how can you offer warmth to your own inner world? The third practice is energy separation through visualization. Close your eyes and imagine the invisible cords connecting you to this person. Threads of need, fear, and longing stretching between your heart and theirs. See them clearly in your mind. Then, with gentleness and intention, visualize yourself cutting those cords. Not with violence, but with love. Imagine the energy that has been flowing toward them returning to your own heart, filling you with the presence you have been giving away. This is not about hating them or severing love. It is about reclaiming the energy that belongs to you. The fourth practice is reparenting the part of you that feels it cannot survive without them. Place your hand on your heart and speak directly to the frightened child within. You are safe even without them. You are whole even when they are gone. I will not abandon you the way you fear they will. Say it until you feel the shift, until the panic softens, until the inner child begins to trust that you are here, that you are enough. These practices are not one-time rituals. They are the daily discipline of individuation, the slow retrieval of yourself from the places where you have dissolved. Each time you choose presence over pursuit, each time you ask what part of me needs this instead of why won't they give it to me, you are stepping into wholeness. There is a state Jung spoke of that few people reach, but all can sense. The integration of light and shadow, the meeting of conscious and unconscious, the moment when you are no longer split between what you show and what you hide. In this state, you do not need another person to complete you because you have learned to hold both strength and vulnerability, both independence and intimacy, both solitude and connection. You are no longer half a person searching for your missing piece. You are whole, and from that wholeness, real love becomes possible. Not as fusion, but as encounter, not as need, but as recognition. Jung once said that the meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. But notice the word he chose: transformed, not consumed, not dissolved, not lost. True love does not ask you to disappear into another. It asks you to become more fully yourself in the presence of someone who is doing the same. It is not two halves becoming one. It is two wholes meeting and creating something neither could alone. When you have reclaimed the qualities you once projected, when you have retrieved your strength, your worth, your capacity to nurture yourself, the desperation fades. There is no hunger, no panic, no feeling that you will collapse without them. Instead, there is calm, a deep, steady knowing that you are enough, that you have always been enough, that the love you are seeking outside has been waiting inside all along. This is transcendence, not in the spiritual sense of leaving the body, but in the psychological sense of rising above the compulsion. You no longer mistake attachment for devotion. You no longer confuse obsession with depth. You can love someone without needing them to fill the void. You can desire connection without fearing that their absence will undo you. And here is the profound shift. When you stop needing, you start choosing. You choose to be with someone not because you cannot survive without them, but because your life is richer with them in it. You stay not out of fear, but out of freedom. And if the day comes when the relationship no longer serves your growth, you can walk away without shattering, because you know that the wholeness you carry cannot be taken from you. Jung taught that individuation is not about perfection. It is about becoming conscious, about seeing clearly the forces that have been directing you from the shadows. And once you see them, once you understand that the person you thought you needed was only ever a mirror, you are no longer possessed. You are awake. In that awakening, love transforms. It stops being a rescue mission and becomes a celebration. Two people, whole in themselves, choosing each other not out of lack, but out of abundance. Return now to the person you thought you could not live without, the one who held your breath in their hands, the one whose absence felt like drowning. You can see them differently now, not as savior, not as villain, but as teacher. They arrived in your life not to rescue you, but to show you where you had abandoned yourself. They carried the qualities you disowned, the strength you denied, the wholeness you forgot was yours. And in that carrying, they became both mirror and message. Jung understood that some people enter our lives to show us love, and others enter to show us where love has not yet reached. The dangerous person, the one you believed you needed, was never truly dangerous because of who they were. They were dangerous because of what you were willing to lose in order to keep them: your voice, your boundaries, your sense of self. But now you know, the bond was never between you and them. It was between you and the parts of yourself you placed in their care. And the moment you reclaim those parts, the moment you stop asking them to be what you have refused to become, the possession ends. Not with hatred, not with drama, but with quiet, steady clarity. You are whole. You have always been whole. And the love you were searching for outside has been waiting, patient and unshaken, in the only place it could ever truly be found: within you. Some relationships teach us connection, others teach us retrieval. Both are sacred, both are necessary, and both return us, in the end, to the same truth. You were never incomplete. You were only learning to see yourself clearly. Some people arrive to show us love, others arrive to show us where love has not yet reached. If this awakened something in you, subscribe, not for the algorithm, but as a commitment to seeing yourself clearly. The journey of individuation continues, and you do not walk it alone.